What's happening, guys? So it's been a little while since I've done a video, and of course I'm bringing you another wormhole adventure. I found a C2 shattered. Now the shattered wormhole, you can't live in them, but they have a lot of connections, so expect action. As luck would have it, it was off hours at this time I was playing, and I got my typical hour and a half run in before people showed up. And they did! A stealth bomber and 2 drakes showed up. Now I did see them on D-scan, except the drakes, and expected something. And the stealth bomber buggered off after I got him into armor, and then the drakes, I warped off, made a safe, and then came back because I wasn't sure what else was coming. Once I saw it was the 2 drakes, I was going to go for it. I went back, but they already left. I jumped out of the hole in the high sec, grabbed my Myrmidon, which is PvP fit, came back, warped to the sun, and told him, hey, I'm at the sun waiting, but no one did show up. But it made me think, you know, I've been doing wormholes a lot. It would seem natural and a good idea for me to join an actual wormhole corporation and give it a shot. So that's exactly what I did. While looking for a corp, I decided to do a little mining. Just an update on my production character. Skills are coming along nicely. I'm up to T2 crystals now. And just mining away. And I actually created 2 more, so I'll have 3 miners again. And of course my carrier pilot, which is driving the Orca, he has perfect leadership skills. So I got the boost going, and life is good there. And going to be moving down to Null with my friends, doing that here soon. So I found a really good corporation. I talked to quite a few, and I really like these guys. They're awesome. They're very good. And they were all US players, which is a bonus because I always seem to play with people other than America. It's because my play times are very different from most. So I never get to hang with Americans, so it was nice to have that. It really was. It was a nice change. And when they were on, for the handful of hours that I got to hang with them, they were very cool. Liked the personalities. The alliance is called Smokus Pocus, and if you're looking for an American or US-based wormhole corporation, these guys are it, man. Not only are they laid back and cool, but they're very helpful. I learned a lot in about 2 days. The problem, however, is they were only on for about 2 or 3 hours, and then I was going to bed at that time when they became active. So I was in the same situation I was before, alone in a wormhole. And let me just explain to you what I learned from these guys and how rolling alone in a wormhole is, I've been just dumb lucky here lately, because now that I have an understanding of the mechanics, man, it's pretty rough. So let me show you one. These drawings are quite crude, but hey, I'm a new artist. So this is kind of an example of what wormhole connections look like. So here you have the home system labeled home, and then it has a static to its left, and then you have a way out, which is high sec there. And that system also has another connection. So if you're residing in the home, you might jump over to the other system. You don't really find anything where all the signatures have been farmed, so you might go down to the C5 down there and do some of the sites there. And once you're finished, you'll roll that hole, and basically you just use a bunch of battleships and you go in and out of it, and then you calculate how much mass you need to crit it, and once you close it, a new one will spawn in the system. You see, each hole has a static, and what that means is once it goes away, a new one will open up within a minute after it's been closed. It's almost instant, really. And that's basically how statics work. See, up until this point, I would just cruise in through low sec, do the signatures in there, or maybe go through that connection and another connection, do them, and then leave. For people that live in the wormhole, they'll farm what they want, close it, and then look to see what opens up, if it's any good, and just keep rolling the holes, just closing them until they find one with a bunch of signatures that looks relatively safe, and then you farm the content in there. Rinse and repeat from there, pretty much. So you've probably seen the box, and we're going to talk about why it's there. And it's called surprise butt sex. That's what I call it anyway. Basically, what you're doing at this point is you're doing the sites that on the new hole that you just opened up. That's now 2 connections from your home system. You're there by yourself, which you should never do, as I learned. And so what had happened is the surprise butt sex system, that alliance there was rolling the hole and it landed to our home system. They come through that and they scan the next connection, and then they just work the chain, and then they come into the system, one person, the scout, and they're cloaked out of D-scan range. So they're warping around, they find you, and now they're 10 km off of you just sitting there waiting. So they alert their surprise butt sex fleet, and they come rolling through there, and they're holding on the other side of the wormhole. And as soon as the guy thinks it's the optimal time, they'll warp to him at 0, and he starts to decloak and point you. So you have about 5 seconds to get out of there. You have no idea what's coming, and you might be foolish. I mean, you might think, oh, I could take this. Well, as you know, EVE PvP doesn't work that way. It's always 40 versus 1, and that's what surprise butt sex is. Unlike what I've done before, just checking D-scan range, that's not enough. You actually have to check signatures too, and you definitely need a scout. You need scouts. So you need scouts in both holes, watching and waiting. If they're there, life is good. You can check your D-scan and the signatures, and as long ignore all the signatures, and as long as no new ones pop up, you're pretty much safe, because you have eyes in both of those systems, and that's how you avoid yankage. So now we're going to use a real example of surprise butt sex, using myself as an example because I was the victim here, and there was no reach around, there was no lube, it just hurt. So this map that I made is exactly how things were laid out. The C3 was rolled the previous night. It was awesome. There's plenty of sites to do in there. So I thought, hey, no one's on for like all day. Let me just go in here. I can handle this on my own. I can't handle the C5 on my own, but I can do the C3. So I'm in there just doing sites. I had about 2 hours in. I haven't even went back and dropped my loot off yet. So I worked pretty hard, for the last 2 hours. And a new signature spawned in our home system. The surprise butt sex system. So they came rolling in, and they didn't have to go far to find me. So what had happened was, and I was recording and hit the record button when they jumped me, which turned off the recording, and I wish I could have shown it. But basically an Astero and a Stratios decloaked. And because it was 2, I'm like, I can handle this. So the Stratios tried to cap me out. I just set my orbit to like 15 km, and I had a point fitted because the last time I was jumped, I didn't have a point. So I got rid of the missile guy's computer and the target painter to trade it for a warp disruptor, because I'm like, I'm gonna get the next person that does this to me. So I'm tearing this guy up, man. I'm like, yeah, big mistake. You're going down. Then I hit D-scan. And what I saw coming was not good. So I tried getting away, and it didn't work. They got me, a bunch of guys. And my MTU. So I not only lost my Tengu, but I lost all the 2 hours of work that I had put in. So at this point, I lost that, and all the time that I invested, I didn't get paid a cent because, like rats and known space, you get the bounties, wormholes, you don't. In retrospect, I should have probably dropped off the loot every hour and then went back and my whole thought was I was going to do a bunch of sites and come back and salvage it, and it'd be more efficient. But I didn't do that. I foolishly did this instead. So I couldn't do anything pretty much for the rest of the day. I had lost my first Tengu, actually, and this was my first death in a wormhole. And I forgot about the lost skill points, and that's really off-putting to me to lose 4 days. So I really didn't want to fly another T3. I was like, yeah, I already put the time investment in for the skill training. I'm not doing it again. So what should I do next? So I thought about it a while, and I didn't do anything all day. but maybe just went back to mining on my alt because there was nothing else to do. And when the guys came on, I told them what happened. We talked a while. He told me, for you to do what you're doing is extremely hard. It's crazy hard, and you're gonna need to have several scouts set up. And while we were talking, they were running like 5 or 6 battleships and like a C5 or C6. I think it was a C5. And the guy was like, "Hey man, a new signature, everybody warp." And I thought, man, that they immediately warped. And within 30 seconds of that new signature spawning, there was combat probes out and a giant fleet came in. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's how fast it happens, man. If he wasn't watching, bam, they would have lost everything. It was insane. And that's just how crazy it is, man. Like, when people are rolling wormholes, they're waiting. I actually lost another ship that day. As they were rolling the wormholes, they're like, oh, like, there's a ship here, come kill it. So as I'm in warp, at that point, I guess they found the signature. So there was like a 20-man fleet on the other side, and they all jumped in as I'm warping in. I'm like, oh god. So I warped my Myrmidon right into Eve. I think it was Eve Uni. And all 20 of them took me out, man. So like another ship that day. And, like the last 2 days, I made like a bill in 2 days. But I did gas money, I did sites, I did all sorts of stuff. But I have to be honest, I lost a lot more than I gained at this experience. But the value of the knowledge that I learned was worth it. Like, I learned a lot. For me, like, just the amount of interruption in the wormhole space is a little bit too demanding for myself. There's some people that like that, but for me, when I start something, I like to finish it. And just the constant interruption all the time, I just can't see living in this. It's by far the most dangerous thing to do in EVE, is wormhole space, without a doubt. The rewards are nice, but you just, it's really hard to get stuff done. There's days where you're gonna make, like, you've seen my videos. Yeah, I lucked out and didn't have much trouble. Was able to do things, but my experience here was pretty crazy, man. It was always tactic and hell going on all the time. That's just wormhole space. So if you ever decide to try wormhole life, you have to make sure it's critical that you have people that are active during the times you are, and numbers matter. They really do, because you never know each day what's going to happen. And there's been like you might spend 2 hours rolling holes because you just get bad ones until you finally find a good one, and then you just can't go in there and start. You have to find all the other holes, scout those connections, see what's going on, anyone active, looking at kill boards, trying to get an idea who you're going to be dealing with. There's a lot of time, and for me, solo, to do all that work that's required, it's just insane. Whereas you have a large corp, you have several people going and looking at this, working together as a team, it's not that bad, It's not bad at all. But for me, I'd be required to stay in this corp to do all that, and it's just asking a little bit too much for me to just participate in the PvE content. You know what I mean? Just a little bit too much. Am I open to doing this again? Absolutely. Not right now. I want to take it easy for a while. I've been putting myself at risk all the time here lately, and I lost quite a bit doing this. And I just want to make some money, relax, hang with some friends, so I want to do that. If I could do a do-over on this entire experience, I recommend you do a C2 first. Just because you're able to do a C3 or a C5 with 2 characters doesn't mean you should. And the reason is, these were some expensive lessons. I mean, I'm not telling you the full story, but there was a lot of loss involved with this whole thing. It was very expensive. And if I started with a C2, I could learn triggers, the PI set up with some, figure out what works, and just all the mechanics about it. And, you're only risking a battlecruiser, which isn't bad at all. I mean, who cares if you lose a Drake, right? You can lose a lot of those all day, no problem. But when you do a C3 and above, you're now risking putting some misc on the table. Wouldn't it be better to lose the Drake and learn the hard way? with the Drake laws first, like a Tengu. So if I do this again, I'm going to do C2. And just do that for a while. Learn the triggers, learn the motions, get more comfortable with the environment. And then, if I want to step up my game, I have a lot of knowledge to take with me to keep me safe, you know. But, you know, realistically, if you and a buddy were to run a C2 together and you both had alt accounts for scouts, you have a chance. You have a chance. The problem, however, is even though you have eyes and stuff like that, almost every wormhole has citadels and stuff, so anyone can undock at any time, and you might, you know, depending on server ticks, you might miss that opportunity for that D-scan reveal, and they'll cloak up and you won't know. Next thing, the whole fleet undocks and they're in warp to you. So there's always risk. There's no 100% safety here. But if you could take anything from this, if you're new to wormhole space, don't do what I did. Instead, do C2. Learn from that and then go forward from there, and you'll be in much better shape. I sure wish I did that. So that's the only real advice I can give you from this experience. Or just hang out with some really knowledgeable players that are active. I had the knowledgeable players. Unfortunately, our times didn't match up. Otherwise, I'd still be there because they were awesome. Alright guys, you have a good one.
Hyperion.
Of the Hyperion? When he lands, that is?
Someone might want to be on the other side.
Yeah, I need someone with tackle jump to the side, preferably a Omenavish or...
He's jumped. They're red boxed. Blackbird has red boxed me.
Okay, everyone jump, everyone jump, everyone jump.
Primary Blackbird.
Blackbird is primary. Blackbird is primary. Lock up Ares, lock up the Saber and the Purifier.
Fuck me, there's so many people.
Yeah, there is. Okay.
Oh wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I managed to make it out. I'm gonna go back to low sec now.
Ah, beautiful. If you manage to make it out, then full kudos to you, man. Full kudos to you, man.
So during that entire mess, I saw the Hurricane fleet all anchored up. I'm like, okay, these guys know what I'm doing. Let's see, which one's the out gate? I literally set the destination during the fight so I can figure out what gate to use.